Well, I don't even know, because if we'd gone back 3 years and said where we are today, we would say, yeah, that's AGI.
Oh, yeah.
We've got agents acting autonomously.
Sure.
We've got memory, but we just keep moving AGI because when we have AGI, we're declaring ourselves not the apex species. Nobody's going to declare it because nobody wants to. But that's the fact, is the moment we announce it, we have replaced ourselves with a new apex species, which has never happened to all of humanity.
Hey guys, welcome to Everyday Finance. Despite the fact that the market was shaken by Bitcoin's return to $89,000, derivatives traders are not behaving in a manner that suggests capitulation is taking place. Futures premiums are currently lingering above 4%, which is just slightly below neutral. Despite the fact that long liquidations at a cost of $144 million and an unsuccessful attempt to maintain a price over $93,500 have occurred, this steadiness indicates that traders are anticipating volatility, but are not making preparations for a complete collapse. The perpetual funding rates are slightly negative, but they are not even close to being in the panic zone. Additionally, the options markets, albeit pricing a stronger demand for puts, are not indicating the acute stress that typically precedes significant crashes. ETF outflows, weakness in the technology sector, concerns about inflation, and the lingering effects from the shutdown of the United States. Government have all contributed to a general decline in confidence. Despite this, the stability of Bitcoin's derivatives indicates that traders may be preparing for a stabilization or perhaps a rebound if the pressure from macroeconomic factors begins to ease.
The cynics suddenly realize that this is the end game, right?
Yes.
It's like the greatest invention humanity will ever create.
Yes.
People don't realize that yet, so they're cynical about it.
Yep.
But once they get there, the amount of money is going to get thrown into this. And then after that, I don't know anymore, because we've then got AGI or whatever trading the markets. How do you price markets? Maybe markets go sideways for 20. I have no clue.
Yeah.
But I just see that strength. It's so obvious to me. Sure, we'll get a slowdown and a correction period for a bit, but then after that, everybody's going to have to throw their money into this because there's no other choice.
What would speed the process up is if computers were managing the majority of the money. So they would take NVIDIA up because the probabilities, it makes no logical sense. But there's two forces. There's Wall Street and then there's passive investors who are doing nothing. And so there's a lot of money that isn't actively managed. And then for the stuff that is actively managed by humans, they don't agree with it because they've been through this before. And as I've been using the Charlie Munger quote, show me your incentive, I'll show you the outcome. There's no incentive for wealthy people to bet on AI because they've already made money, and the outcome is if they're wrong, they don't want to be wrong. I've learned that only through, why don't you like Bitcoin? And I've been to enough dinners now. I don't know how you handled it for so many years. Why don't you buy it? I can't deal with, there's always one of them at the table. I was at a Russell Napier dinner recently, and there was one guy at the table. I'm like, are you kidding me? Now I have to do the Bitcoin thing. So I just kind of shut down and I laid low. But Tesla's the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
At least Tesla, there's a human being and he's built 4 other companies that are massive and done all these things and he wants to go to Mars. But Bitcoin and Tesla are the exact same thing. No one believes in them. So
it's bizarre. So when I'm also looking at this, the energy side has got my attention. And I think there's a layup trade. When you break down the urgency by which we need the energy, that rules out nuclear now. Of course, the investment comes and it takes 7, 8, 10 years before it rolls out. Sure. But by thinking that nuclear is the answer right now, it's not. The need is so urgent and so pressing because this is not just the margins for the hyperscalers. This is the humanity scale technology that is the game of nations now, right? Yep. There is no way you can lose. Zero. And the US government is showing it by buying fucking stakes in companies.
Exactly.
This is the size of this, right? This is the most important thing.
We are China now. We are buying companies, privatizing.
Because there is no choice, right? This is the most important thing we will ever go through. And so energy, so it's like, okay, fine. Oil's not going to be part of the equation. It's just too slow to build anything. The existing infrastructure of the electricity grid is too crappy. We cannot rebuild it at national scale.
Yep.
So it's going to have to be a decentralized grid, and it has to happen quickly. And the only answer in the world is solar. And then you add a bit of gas power plants for the load balancing, because they take about 2 years, and gas is abundant, super cheap. You can't get the price of gas up if you tried, because there's like infinite supply of this bloody stuff. So I'm like, and then I look at the TAN ETF, and it's like down 90%. I'm like, because everyone's so cynical from getting burnt in a excess capacity cycle last time around. I'm like, I know these trades. I love these trades. These are the Lindy effect trades. He's like, is solar going away? No. Look what China's done. They've added more solar capacity in China than all of the world's total solar capacity in 1 year. And it's like, I think they know the game here.
Yeah.
So what is your thoughts on the whole energy thing?
So until there's another place where I wanted to make sure I understood the complexity. So on the gas side, theoretically, if they could, they would try to do all gas because it's quicker and because it doesn't take as much land. So the problem with solar is obviously these are big, gigantic fields.
Yeah, but not that big.
Well, for the US to get to the gigawatts that are necessary, which is a big build out, like in the case of Nevada where they're building this big one, they've had to stop it and move it around. And so even though they're not that big in terms of we could do it, they definitely take a shorter amount of time to put together than building out, obviously, a plant. But in terms of if you could, gas turbines, if they were all available right now and you could get them all, they'd be doing gas turbines and everything because we have available gas. It's just, do we have it near places? And I think they'd figure.
Yeah, do we have pipelines?
Exactly.
Because people forget that. You've got to pipe the damn stuff.
Exactly.
So
So
that becomes very politically difficult because you've got to get it through California and they don't want it. And they have to get it through, wherever.
yeah. And that's the thing I think with solar is the one big beautiful bill got people thinking that they don't want solar. The reality is, like you said, it's a race. We have to get it done. And when you realize the shortage we have in transformers and in gas turbines, you have no choice but to go another route. And the solar route is going to be part of it. The battery route is going to be part of it. When you start getting lithium investments, that's them pretty much admitting that, okay, we need batteries. And it's not just for drones and it's not just for humanoids and defense weapons. It's also for, okay, there's a reason why Elon Musk, when he built Colossus, he's got his big battery packs. There's a reason why his battery part of his side is growing. This also brings the Bitcoin miners in because of the grid optimization, because what the Bitcoin miners are able to do, and this has been something that I learned more about this year, and this is actually an important thing for people to hear because I do think it'll bring the traditional finance world. Every day there's a new way for them to invest in crypto. You obviously had the Circle IPO. So stable coins have finally, people didn't even hear of stable coins a year
That's
ago.
another
So
one I need to talk to you about. I'm sorry, I keep writing notes of things I need to talk to you about.
So that got in there. But the Bitcoin miners are another place. And the reason is because they're directly connected to AI. They've built out these data centers. They have this equipment. And in the case of Texas, they have 4 gigawatts of the 80, I think it's about 85 to 88. So it's a sizable portion. Now, the value that they bring to the ERCOT to Texas is the fact that if you have solar, obviously at nighttime, they're not producing anything. So what is important is that the prices, even during the lower times, are higher during the off times. And this is what the Bitcoin miners do because they're arbitragers. So they do things when the price is really low. So it's kind of like having a restaurant where you're closed at night. Well, if you could have orders at night when the tables are empty, then your business is more profitable. So what the Bitcoin miners do is they act as virtual batteries. And so if ERCOT's having a problem like it had in 2022 and pipes are freezing and the electrical prices are going through the roof, then they can call the Bitcoin miners and they won't mine anymore. And so the miners have become important. And the reason that is in there is that more and more people are looking at grid optimization, no matter where they are. And this was a big negative because Bitcoin miners were negative on the ESG side. In fact, everyone, when I got into the Bitcoin side, is like, oh my God, this is so inefficient. And so everyone is starting to connect. So I do think when you go through the power side, people have to look at so many places across the power side. We're going to be using batteries. We're going to be using solar. We're going to be using boilers. We're going to be using generators. We're going to be using everything because, like you said, it's a necessity. And the gas turbine shortage, of which there's, I think, four or five companies that make gas turbines of any kind of size in the world. If there's a shortage there, that's five companies that are not supplying the power. They're holding things up. And so a small boiler company, a small battery company, nuclear like investments. This is kind of the PMI thing. Those dollars start kind of moving around into other places, and solar is definitely going to be one of them. For sure.
And you just see the scale of which China's doing it and the signal in that. They're not going to destroy capital for the sake of it. There's a race to get energy.
A greater amount of pressure is being applied to XRP, which has experienced a drop of 11% in a week and is displaying various bearish signals that indicate a possible slide to $1.55. There was a descending triangle on the A tower chart that emerged after the price dropped below the $3 level in October. This triangle was fully confirmed when the price fell below its crucial support level of $2.20. Which indicated that sellers were in complete control. For the time being, bulls are attempting to defend the $2 zone. Nevertheless, if that floor is broken, the measured move of the triangle indicates a 25% loss until late November. The presence of momentum contributes to the risk. A distinct negative divergence between the price and the weekly RSI has been developing for some months, with the RSI currently hovering around 39 and resistance from the 50-week moving average near $2.32 exerting downward pressure. Instead of being more stable, momentum structure is becoming weaker.
The energy thing is also misunderstood by people. People say, well, solar's rubbish because as soon as the sun goes down, you've got 4 hours of battery life, then it's all over, it's shit. Okay, what I say is, okay, grid can supply this much electricity. If you try and plug the hyperscalers into the grid is finished, right? Electricity prices go to the moon. It doesn't work.
Yep.
So you take as much off grid as possible, so they're only calling for 25% of their needs on grid.
Yep.
I mean, that's how it works. But people just look at everything in isolation because for some bizarre reason, solar is politicized. And they're like, solar bad, oil good. I'm like, fuck, it's just energy. And the entire game the world is in is intelligence per unit of energy. That's the game we're in now. The whole world is in one game.
Yeah, one of the things you said an important point there, and I think people have to they have to recognize that as of now, what the hyperscalers have effectively used was excess capacity on the grid.
Yeah,
we had, if we have a recession, which we have outside of the hyperscalers, they were just using what would have been used by
manufacturers.
If the commercial buildings are empty, then they're not using them. If you can't have the nominal GDP slow down outside of digital and not have electricity usage go down. So where the electricity usage is going up is geared towards the LLMs and towards training them. So once you get, and I think next year is the forecast that most people have, where we will then be at full capacity, that's where the build out becomes critical. So I think one of the reasons that this hasn't been, violent, when you go to 3 Mile Island, when you go make all these deals, when Elon Musk imports basically a gas plant from overseas, it's because he can't get through things here. And whether it's the state regulations, which have become an issue, or other things, I think people will have to recognize that when you go through excess capacity, again, you start to get the PMIs go higher. PMIs at the end of the day are about a diffusion index. And if you have excess capacity and you're not running, at a full throttle situation, it becomes an issue. And I think that's where we're going to be at. The other thing on batteries, just so people know, I'm spending a lot more time on the edge problem. The reason I brought up the humanoids is kind of the level where I think the stock market, when people jump into humanoids, because right now most investors are like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, no, it's starting next year. And this is my hot take for here. The first humanoids in full development will definitely happen next year. It's the Tesla robotaxi, which is really humanoids on wheels. And that will open up people to do the homework. And the reason that's so important is because we're going to start getting into the brain being in the devices, the edge devices. So everyone has to realize that.
Elon's even talked about using all of the yesterday, which is, I think, I don't know, maybe you and I have talked about in the past, that they've all got latent computing in all of these cars.
Yeah.
There's millions of these damn things. You just need to connect them, which he happens to own the network. Oh, What a surprise.
Well, this is the reason why you probably last week, or 2 weeks ago, Andre Karpathy had a podcast come out with Dwarkesh Patel.
Yeah.
And I got a bunch of things sent to me going, oh, this must mean he's saying no AGI till 2035. I guess we have a bubble right now. I'm like, okay, first of all, it's kind of like the recession thing. It depends on how you define it. We're actually in a recession right now in many parts of the economy. He's saying AGI is when the computers in the brain are interacting with the world like a human, which I happen to agree with. If you ask me what is not AGI, it's when a computer can do a bunch of knowledge work, but that's it. It needs to interact.
Yeah, well, I don't even know, because if we'd gone back 3 years and said where we are today, we would say, yeah, that's AGI.
Oh, yeah.
We've got agents acting autonomously. Sure. We've got
Yeah.
memory. But
Yeah.
we just keep moving AGI because when we have AGI, we're declaring ourselves not the apex species. Nobody's going to declare it because nobody wants to. But that's the fact, is the moment we announce it, we have replaced ourselves with a new apex species, which has never happened to all of humanity.
Correct. Correct. And again, the robo-taxis can already drive better than humans.
Yes.
I do believe that the interaction between a humanoid and human beings, it's not there yet. I mean, they can do stuff. They'll be in mines, they'll be in factories, they'll be in all of this stuff. But before they go into a house with kids, they actually need to improve a lot. And that was his point. And whether or not it happens, in the future or not, but the reality is we will be sticking these brains inside these devices that don't have time to wait for the latency to go to the cloud and come back down. And that's the whole point of we're entering a different stage. And for batteries and power, it has huge implications. There's also the semi side where it was one semiconductor that was benefiting from the data center build out. And the reason I use NVIDIA, so NVIDIA is the data center side. It's the oil. It's whatever you want to do of this thing. But now you're getting into every semiconductor going higher, like Micron and SK Hynix, and extending into the smaller ones. And the reason is because when you make brains inside an edge device, that is different than a data center. They need different packaging. They need all this stuff to happen. And so I think that's going to be the next phase of AI, is that brain part and the battery part.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Elon's made this clear as well. It's like, what the hell do you think my satellites are?
Exactly.
Because they're just a bit of solar and a computer.
Yep.
If this is not telling you that, then nothing is. That's another thing about the electricity thing. You made a good point that I had not thought of. And I think there's going to be a lot of signal in what you said, is who's going to pay for the increase in electricity if it's caused by the hyperscalers? It's going to be the hyperscalers.
Absolutely.
But we have to tax them in a way to replace the economic rent that they take out of the system and give it back to people in some way, because if not, the system does not work. If the machines make all the money, how do the people, we've talked about this a lot, but that feels like it's a really obvious place to start.
The technical tension is reflected in the fundamentals. On the XRP ledger, the number of daily active addresses has decreased from over 500,000 to just 44,000. And the number of new addresses that are being created has similarly decreased. All of these factors, which frequently indicate an extended period of stasis or deeper price decreases, are reflected in the severe contraction in on-chain activity, which is a reflection of diminishing user interest, thinning liquidity, and reduced transactional demand. A considerably more gloomy picture is painted by the combination of technical breakdowns and decreasing network activity in XRP. In contrast to Bitcoin's derivatives, which provide the impression of a calm confidence that lies underlying the anxiety.